Hello, everyone. I'm Dirk Garner. I'm the artistic director and conductor of the Baldwin Wallace Bach Festival. And I welcome you to the next in our series of podcasts for our Bach Festival this year. Recently, we've heard from former directors and leaders of the festival. And this week, I'm joined by some recent and absolutely extraordinary alums. I'm joined here via Zoom by Andrew Leslie Cooper. Wave, Andrew. Jonathan Cooper, Madeline Healey, Gene Stenger, and Max Nolin. Welcome, my friends. So today we get to remember our work together on the Bach Festival, but we also have opportunity to explore how those experiences changed your career and changed your life. The Bach Festival is a living and breathing and changing organization that continues to educate and inform so many lives at BW. All five of you shared in these experiences in various ways, and it's helped to shape your careers and your lives in various ways. And I'm so thankful that you're willing to share your thoughts and your experiences with us today. And that's what I'd love to start with. I'd love to start with our memories and our past, and then launch into the present and the future. So and you're welcome to just unmute or raise your hand and unmute. I'll call on you maybe, and you can unmute and share your memories about the festival of any kind.
First of all, can I just say that asking the question, how did Bach Festival influence my life, is sort of like saying, how did the Beatles influence rock music, or how did Bach influence classical music? You know, it's not just something that taught me a few lessons. It's fundamentally shaped my musicianship and my approach to music making. So it's the standout thing in my whole musical studies, the standout thing that defined what I do now and how I make music now and how I like to make music. I don't know if everyone else agrees with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I didn't realize at the time what a gem it was, because you have no context for it. You only usually go to undergraduate studies in one place. And so I loved every moment of it while I was there, but it was after I left that I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we were doing that. That's so incredible. So I have so many like amazing little flashes of memories of like excellent performances happening, and then also like silly foibles. I don't know. I think almost all of you were in this Buxtehude concert that we were in, where a friend of ours fainted on stage.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Standing the whole time, and she just locked her knees and went down, and somebody helped her off. And so like there are all of those, I don't know, I have so many memories of figuring out how to be a performer when things go wrong from Bach Festival, as well as all of the like amazingly life-changing like things that have happened.
We should hear a little bit of that. Let's hear a little bit of the Buxtehude.
Quis
That's a great performance. I love that recording of you all. And so who sang? I know Madeline, you did. Jonathan,
I didn't have a
did,
solo,
right?
but I was standing there in the back the whole time. It was amazing.
Yeah, what I'm trying to remember is who all, because there are so many. I was going to bring up Buxtehude too because it's such a phenomenal piece, and yes, also the foibles. But like it's so it's chamber music, and I was just trying to remember all the different trios and who was in my trios for things, and I just don't remember because there were so many. But yeah, that's I was going to bring up Buxtehude too, just for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Sure.
probably have it. I stole Corey Isler's score. It exists in my own personal library. Corey Isler, now BW employee, works at the community music school, but I'm sure it's in there. So maybe I'll look it up and send it to all of us. But I'm pretty sure it's like, he's a meticulous note keeper. So in there was literally like probably Madeline, Jonathan. So I'll see if I can find that. But that was an amazing performance. I loved it. Amazing.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. One of my favorites. Madeline, all of you. When we're living it, when you're right, especially as a student, I can imagine when you're right in the middle of it and doing it every year, especially as a 19-year-old, you do not have the context to realize that not every college student is going to sing all of the major works of Bach and a pile of other things as well, Buxtehude and motets and cantatas, and it really is it's unique and it's special. I think it's special.
Yeah, I mean, I still like the rep that we did on like the motet choir concerts. I mean, also the major works, but the rep that we did on the motet choir concerts, like those motets are in my brain for the rest of my life. Like the rhetoric of all of that, I think I have carried with me to every like high Baroque gig I have ever done. So it's incredible, sort of the ripple effect of those rehearsals. Us dancing around in the chamber hall and
in the chamber hall. Yeah, those were rough years. Now we have beautiful Cadle. It's beautiful rehearsal space,
Yeah, a little room for a big choir of people.
Sure
Yeah.
was.
Well, the rehearsal part, I think, is incredible. Like when you ask about memories, the first memories I get are all rehearsals. And I know I can remember performances, but that whole Bach week, right? That whole moment where the whole school said, okay, this is what we're doing, right? And you'd get together on that stage at night and, you'd be up in the balcony, like either like cheering us on or like head and score, not looking at us, or, finding out who wasn't looking up. And then, Dwight Oldman's in front of us, just somehow, guiding us, these giant semi-trucks of works, guiding us through them with more calm than I can ever imagine. And that is what I remember so vividly, are those weeks. And it's the whole, but what's amazing about it is everyone has great social weeks in college, right? Everyone has great weeks where, stuff's going on, you're having fun. But I think they were heightened because that whole experience was around amazing art. I don't think it works if the root of what we're all doing is not super profound. And so like, your average college fun is heightened because for 2 hours that night, you were singing the B minor mass, right? And you can't help learn, experience, and sing the B minor mass without being changed. You just can't do it. Everyone is different ways. And so I think of it as not only did it make me a better musician and all those things as a working musician, I think I'm so thankful for it, but it's a life experience you can't replicate. And that is what I am sort of most thankful for. And I just remember those rehearsals so vividly.
I do too. I don't, Gene, you were in that first group, and Jonathan, you were, and so Madeline, you were as well. And the very first, I'm not exaggerating, the very first sounds that come out, and it was Christmas Oratorio, that was my first one. I could not believe it. It was amazing. And I went, it was just, Dwight and I talked about it in our interview as well. It was just remarkable to me. And you're right, I mentioned that too, Max. He's so calm. It looks so easy. And I think, gosh, I'll be chasing that the rest of my life. That's, it was so warm and easy for him to execute that. I miss that a lot.
I also really love the lineage of the one set of scores that we all like borrowed and gave back. And like that was your little ticket to Bach for that whole season. But also like there were so many other people's markings in them and so many like funny things that Dwight had said years before, or like, totally ragging on one group of singers, or or like, why would you do that like that? Or like, this obviously goes this way. And it's so funny to see from year to year, like, oh yeah, that would have totally been my tendency had some like previous like ghost of soprano past not written that in for me. Or so I loved seeing that. We don't have that so much anymore. Like the scores that I have are my own now, or they're digital. And so I think like that lineage of the borrowed score was a thing that I miss and I cherish.
I want
The
to go
classic quotes by Stuart.
Sorry, Gene, go ahead.
Oh no, I just said I was just thinking about, just remember coming across all the classic quotes from Stuart Raleigh.
Yep, there's a lot of them. I want to go through the scores and catalog them, and collect them, because I think they're priceless. I just love them. I flip through them when students borrow the scores. I flip through them all the time.
I never was a student under Stuart Raleigh, but I feel like I know Stuart Raleigh because of all the quotes in the Bach scores.
He was a stitch. He is a stitch. He still is. He's quite fun.
I remember in rehearsals, one of your mantras for the rehearsal was always, I'm trying to help you to learn how to teach yourself, and I'm trying to help you to learn how to rehearse and how to just do it by yourself. And that became so true as soon as I entered the professional world and started singing this music, with one rehearsal or two rehearsals. That's when that lesson became so true in my head. I thought, yeah, I know how to do this. Especially with the motets, like Madeline mentioned. I too can just sing them in my sleep practically, except Fürchte dich nicht, because it's the worst motet.
Oh, shots fired!
Sorry. It's the sixth best motet.
It's the sixth best. That's probably better. Yeah.
I think that's my favorite one. I don't know why you hate it so much.
We don't learn. We never learn music the same way we do when we're in college. Because you spend so much time with it. And when we're in it, again, it's the rehearsal period seems so long, and then I think we all long for it. We want to spend time with the music, maybe not that long, but we want to spend more time learning about what we're doing and being more, not having to be so in such a time crunch to make all this music. I hear that a lot from people like you, that it's nice to live a little bit in it instead of just reading it down and getting through it.
I might be getting a little ahead of us here, but that's one of my goals for post-pandemic, is to organize my life around being able to live with repertoire a little longer, and spend some more time really digging into those kinds of projects when I can. Of course, there will always be the like hectic, you're filling in for somebody on this crazy thing and you have to just like get it done. But I am excited to keep slotting in more and more gigs where I can actually fully dig into what a piece is trying to say and what I would like to say with it.
Yeah. Living the life of an artist just a little bit more. Yeah.
Well, and I know we talked a lot about it. It's sometimes I think charted out as a bit of a cliche, but Bach the teacher, that this music makes you better at everything else. At least I feel that. As a conductor, I felt that. As a singer and as a student, I have felt that as well. And with my own choirs, I see that. With the community choir, you can do the Bach Magnificat and it will about kill you to like get them to do it, right? It will take every inch of your body to get them to sing those 16th notes and every creative tool or skill you have. But then you'll go and do a Mozart Requiem, or you'll go and do another great piece, and they'll learn it faster and they'll be better at it. Yeah. And again, it's not just because Bach is so difficult, it's because Bach is always teaching us something about harmony, is always teaching us something about our ability to sing, right? I mean, I think what I came in, growing up in a really good church music program that did a lot of, serious music, whatever that means. And I remember thinking Bach was this straining, awful thing. And, I was very singery when I came to college. I wanted to be a singer, all that kind of stuff. And I will be a great singer. And Bach, I can't sing Bach. It's so unsingable. Bach made me a better singer, right? Again, this is a rarefied crowd, I think, some would agree. But what it requires of you as a musician, you get better at it. And so I think that's another great thing Bach Festival did, was just made me a better musician through the music and living in that music. And now it's making other people better, right? It's making other singers and other groups better as well, as we sort of spread that knowledge.
Yeah, and that's both of you. It's a great place to transition to how, and you're all of you are already alluding to it, but how the festival helped you chart your careers and helped you find where you're going, and made your careers in some ways, in some small way, or possible. How what tangible ways do you think Bach Festival helped you do that?
I can identify a pretty direct way that it's come into play in my professional life. In that the first professional singing gig that I ever got was a Bach choir, the Bach ensemble at Holy Trinity in New York. And had I not loved Bach so much already, I probably wouldn't have been so interested in it. This was in my second year at Westminster, so I was already quite busy, and I had to give up a different job to take this job. But had I not loved Bach so much, I wouldn't have taken this singing gig. And had I not taken that singing gig, I wouldn't be a professional singer now, and I wouldn't have met lots of the cool people that I get to make music now with. So yeah, it's fundamental.
Yeah, I think Gene, you've sung there, and Madeline, you sing there, and Jonathan, I think you've sung there too, right? I think that's amazing. I mean, what a legacy for BW. I just think that's a remarkable legacy for BW. It's really beautiful.
And hilariously, none of us have ever sung there together at the same time.
You're kidding.
No.
Oh, that's true.
Actually,
that's a good point.
Andrew and I did once. Andrew and I did B minor mass together. That was the last. I think that was my first one and Andrew's last one, perhaps.
Yeah, it was the last one before I moved back to the UK, and also Jonathan's first one.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's such a small world.
The BWMT program, always talks about the BW mafia, and quite rightly, half the singer actors in New York, the really successful ones all went to BW. It's like that in the Bach world too. half of the Bach singers working in New York or where, what have you, they're BW alums.
Yeah, it's so cool. I just love it.
I know a few years ago, Madeline, you and our paths crossed again when we were doing a gig, and it's just amazing how, for all of us, I think we have all gone our own separate routes, but because this early music world is so small, it somehow brings us all together. We all somehow end up on the same path, doing some of the same gigs. And I know Madeline and I were just saying how it's amazing how we were both at BW together. We went off, we're on our own separate paths, and now we're doing some of the same gigs together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran into Jean in an audition hallway. I was doing some admin work at the Cathedral of St. John the Divine when I first moved to New York, and I was like hanging up some flyers, or I can't even remember what I was doing. I was very self-consciously busy, and then I was like, Jean, what are you doing here? He's like, I'm singing here today. I was like, oh my God, hello, welcome to New York. What?
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of stuff happens more often than not. You'll walk into a rehearsal room. Well, someday again, we will walk into a rehearsal room and be like, oh, you.
My rehearsal room. You will all walk into my rehearsal room. My dream come true right there.
What I think is kind of funny is there are sort of two parallel coincidences. So my first ever performance in New York City was with Madeline, actually. It was with a group called Ampersand, and we had that rehearsal at Cathedral of St. John the Divine, which I can literally see from where I'm sitting. I live like 2 blocks from the cathedral, which sort of weirdly parallels. Andrew, I don't know if you remember this, but the very first hotel that you and I stayed in the US is it's probably changed names now, but it's like right on Bagley Road. It's that clump of hotels that are like suites. But so it's just sort of funny, you end up in one spot and then you go away and then you end up in the same spot again. It's very strange how that seems to happen.
And it was the same hotel that hosted BWV for Bach Festival 2019.
Oh, right, the suites. Yeah, like you said.
Yeah.
The suites, yeah.
For 2 weeks, that was all we knew of America.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It was a narrow perspective.
I think everyone on this call is very much a lover of early music and is deeply obsessed with performance practice and all of that. I feel very lucky that I got to do Big Bach, sort of 100-some person choir or whatever it was with big orchestra, and Dwight's interpretations, which I think were very much his own and came from deep personal study and years of doing it. I don't think you can claim they're anyone else's. At least I now believe that. And what I loved about that was it showed that a great piece of music can be done a lot of different ways. And that great music is incredibly malleable in that sense. And what I especially loved, Dr. Garner, about sort of the way you led us through that is you taught your interpretation. You taught your study and your interpretation of the work. And then you would tell us, okay, when you get up there, do whatever he does. And that is a subtle thing I don't think I realized until a couple years ago when I had to start preparing groups for events, right? Is an experience I never had. That type of mutual respect between musicians about interpretation, the need for study, the need for personal perspective mixed with the ability to be humble about what you have studied and what you have created. I think about that in my role as a conductor now. I think about that all the time. That mixture of having a strong opinion, but also being completely open to new or old ways of doing things. I feel very lucky that I had that sort of bifurcated experience in learning these works. I feel like every time I hear an interpretation, I don't think that's bad or that's good. I think that's interesting. And as a musician, I think that's kind of invaluable.
That's thoughtful, right? That the music making is thoughtful.
I completely agree. I think I didn't realize how stubborn I was about that, particularly early on in my time at BW. And I think I really used to deal in a lot more absolutes in terms of performance practice, and I've now almost completely abandoned those absolutes I once held dear. But I do find that to be really relevant to the life of a performer. Is like you have to show up with something that you really think is good and that you believe in, and then you also have to be really willing to be flexible and to collaborate with the people in the room. And I think what you were just mentioning, Max, is just an amazing example of that happening on a really big scale. and a lot of buy-in from everyone, which was super nurturing, I think.
You know, that's not different for the conductor now. I don't think that was true 30 years ago, but I of course come with, I know how I want this music to go. And then I have an unbelievably brilliant soloist, you know, or unbelievably brilliant choir that makes me go, that also is a very good idea. And I love that. That's one of my, I relish that. I like that. I like to make music collaboratively and with people.
My specific memory of this, and I think about this all the time, we were in a rehearsal. It was a choral rehearsal with Dwight for St. Matthew Passion. And we got to Valik, Valik, dieses Gott. And you had taught us, you know, that blah, blah. And he gets there to do it. And you're kind of you're very respectful. I don't want anyone to think this is wrong. You're very respectful conducting on the side that you would do, right? You know, it was never to instruct us. It was just you were feeling the music, right? And you go to start it. And he goes, Valik, Valik. You know, it's an 8. It's unbelievably cool. I think it's really cool and slow and all these things. But you were like you looked around. It was kind of amazing. But then you just went, okay, and then you took your pencil and you marked it. And I can see myself sitting there watching you and watching that. And that was the moment where that clicked for me. That joy of collaboration.
Yeah.
But also it's just sort of hysterical because you were very much at first. It's really cool.
I was very much in 4. I think I did it in 8 the last time I did it, Max. I'll have to look. I may have done it in 8 the last time I did it. So now, if you think about those experiences and you think about your memories, what do you hope for my current students? What do you hope for the students that are at BW now in regards to what their experiences may be?
I mean, I have so many hopes. They're hard to put into words. I think as our conception of collaboration and access and performance practice and the role of the artist is expanding and changing, I think I have, like, my biggest wish for music students of today is like agency and ability to find their way through what I think is often a very serpentine industry.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And boy, you all have. I mean, look at your lives. You know, you have all found so brilliantly found your way, and serpentine is sure right. That's the right word.
Working on it anyway.
Always.
And post-COVID, it's going to be even more so. I think my hope is that I hope this has been probably the case before us, and hopefully will still be the case afterwards. Is it's those profoundly life-altering memories that, you know, of the experiential part of it, more so than just like learning a piece of music. There's a great quote by John Vickers, which is, I think that, I might be butchering it slightly, but it's basically that man should serve art, but art must serve mankind. And I think there's so much of that encapsulated in Bach Festival, because we're all working our hardest to make this art as good as possible, but through it, the art is transforming all of us. And I think then, you know, butterfly effect, it affects far more than just the immediate, you know, people in the room. So that's my hope, is that continues.
Beautiful. You know, I talked I talked with 3 alumni from the class of 1957, and friends, they say the same thing. You know, that this was, that Bach Festival was, it encapsulated their time in college, and they're still, you know, donors and patrons and come to all of the Bach Festival performances, and it's just a piece of their life, and their hopes are the same that yours are, you know, that it continues to be something that's meaningful for our students. And it is, and it will be. It's hard right now. They don't have any idea. 2 years worth of them don't really have any idea how all of this. So I'm a bit starting over, you know, next year. I'm a bit starting from, and interestingly, it's Christmas oratorio.
That is interesting.
Interesting. The restart is kind of gonna has some symbology there. So
I also think, though, I mean, most of us, I think, were in Motet choir and college choir for 3 or 4 years. I was only in it for 3 years. But I think even the people in my class who only did it senior year, or who only did it, you know, sophomore year before their lives got too complicated, I think it also still had a major impact on the way that they interact with music. And so although it is sad to me, deeply sad to me, that we don't have this, like the lineage is a little broken during COVID. I do think that even experiencing pieces of it during your time at BW is still like such a cool thing. So,
and you know, I would say this time for me, you know, as far as what as an undergrad current can get out of it, is we've talked so much about skills and experience, right? I think about how I have survived this past year, and I have pulled from all of the skills of my life. I have pulled from skills that I never thought were going to be part of my career. And I think it's part of being an undergrad that you say to yourself, I must prepare myself for my career as a X. And you put this sort of label on yourself of what you are going to be. And so you start to say, oh, I need to learn this skill, but I don't really need to do that this year. I don't need to pay much attention to this. And my one thing I would say to undergrads is, you need to do everything. Now, you don't have to do everything well, and you don't have to run yourself into the ground, but the more skills you have, the better. I mean, look at Andrew, right? Like, I mean, random things he's picked up around his life as well, I'm so impressed by, or even myself, right? You know, this year I've had to, and even before this, I've had to arrange, I've had to work with different choirs of different styles. I've had to have such a deep knowledge of repertoire, right? And so the beauty of BW, the reason I will shout the mountaintops how great my undergrad experience was, I was able to do so much. And that sort of just feasting on all of these opportunities and experiences, it gave me freedom, because it gave me freedom as an adult and in a career to sort of follow my passion and to serve the people that I work with. And so I would say just immerse yourself in all the things that are around you. There's literally I don't think there's ever really a need for a career label. And I certainly don't think there's one. If I could I think Dr. Garner was trying to smack 19-year-old Max, but if I could smack 19-year-old Max, I would say, do everything and stop worrying about what you're going to do when you're 30, because it will fall into place.
You all have found, you've each found a unique path to get to where you are. And I knew you as students, and I've reviewed your biographies, and I've kept track of your careers. But hearing these stories, you know, you all took the traditional path of college and then grad school, but then you found your own way. You've completely, there are five unique paths, well, six, including me, I guess, but 5 unique paths here after leaving BW and beyond grad school. And it's remarkable. It's really remarkable. I hope to see all of you at the Bach Festival Town Hall reunion, April 17th at 4 o'clock. For more information, go to conversation.bw.edu. it's going to be an amazing event and time for you to reconnect with your classmates and see former teachers and former directors, and really just to have some fellowship with the Bach Festival clan. And I really hope to see you all there. Until that time, I hope you stay safe.